2.5. It's loading.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the green room of DisrupTV. And of course, we've got our amazing producer, a guest producer for the day is Hannah. And of course, my co-founder, co-host, and creator of Vala Afshar. Our guests are here. We're going to introduce them in reverse order like we always do. So we'll start with Martin Reeves. Martin, where are you coming in from? What's going on?
I'm coming in from Piedmont, California, and pleased to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
All right. Bob, where are you coming in from? What are we talking about today with your friend Martin?
Yeah, Martin and I have written a book called Like, about the invention of the like button, and I'm dialing in from the UK today.
All right. Okay, Alex, where are you coming in from? Where are you coming from? What are we talking about today?
Yeah, I'm coming from Bay Area. I'm in San Jose right now, talking about anything about AI and cross-border AI application from both Asia and US.
Very cool. San Jose is hot. Grant, where are you coming in from? What are we talking about today?
Hey guys, yeah, I'm like Alex. I'm in San Francisco Bay Area right now, but in the north side, North Bay at the minute. So looking forward to chatting about finance and accounting, so how the whole back office is being modernized with artificial intelligence.
What is AI? Well, we'll discuss that later. All right, let's do the count. Hannah, all yours.
So. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on DisrupTV. My name is Vala Afshar. I'm the Chief Evangelist at Salesforce and your co-host for the next hour. We welcome you to follow us on X at DisrupTV Show. Send Ray, myself, our distinguished guest, your questions live, and we'll do our best to answer them. It's my pleasure to introduce my co-host. He's the founder and CEO of Constellation Research. He's the best-selling author of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I see Ray on TV just about every day, CNBC, Bloomberg, CNN, he's everywhere. And in my humble opinion, he's one of the top futurists to follow on X at RWA and G0. Welcome, Ray Wang, to DisrupTV.
Hey, thanks a lot with amazing co-host, co-founder, of course, Vala Afshar, the Chief Digital Evangelist for Salesforce. He's also the author of multiple books, including Balance, which I normally carry with me every day. It's a new mindset for unlimited business success and the #1 seller on Amazon. But you know, we're here for insights, and Vala has those. Executives around the world pay attention to every one of his inspirational, insightful tweets. And of course, when he's not hosting keynote and leading events or giving interviews for Salesforce, you can find him on insightful analyses, ZDNet, where he's posting and blogging about what's happening next, especially in the world of AI, and especially in a world that's becoming more and more autonomous. So, but who do we have to kick it off? I mean, sometimes we have guests that just come back, and we don't know why they do that, but we have someone that's coming back, and maybe they'll kick off the show for us.
If this was Saturday Night Live, Grant might get a jacket with a number 5 on it. I'm not sure, but we're so lucky to get some of the best and brightest CEOs on our show, and there's no exception here. Grant Halloran, CEO of Planful. Grant is a Chief Executive Officer at Planful, leading fintech software vendor based in San Francisco. Grant has over 25 years of experience as a software executive, co-founded 3 SaaS businesses, holding leadership positions in companies that raised over $500 million in capital and created over $11 billion of enterprise value. Our audience are very familiar with your amazing work. Welcome back, Grant, to DisrupTV.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Vala and Ray. And it's an honor to be back. I'm a multiple time guest here, but I think we have to begin with this. I've been coming on the show for quite a few years now. What's the secret? Because you guys seem to be aging backwards. I'm looking at you guys on the screen. I'm like, you don't seem to be getting any older, boys. You're doing great.
It's not fair. Ray has the best hair in the tech industry.
It's true.
You're close second. And I just wear dark colors, so you can hide that.
I'm wearing more dark colors, but the filters in AI have just gotten so amazing. It's just like the ability to find transparency and regulatory compliance in finance and accounting. Oh wait, sorry. Oh, did we just segue there? No, anyways. No, but hey, let's go deep here. I mean, we're looking at all these areas of AI. We've finally gotten out of that weird generative AI thing where, in finance and accounting, you don't want 1 + 1 = 2 like 99.3% of the time. So now we got agentic AI, which is more, this is actually going to be much more useful for finance and accounting, and especially the office of the CFO. So what are people thinking? Like, are they ready to jump in? Are they kind of like, we'll wait till the other guy does it? Or is it like a mandate where people say, oh my God, if we don't start now, we're going to fall behind? What's that pulse that's going on with the office of the CFO?
It's definitely transitioned in the last 12 months, and I think it increases each month in terms of transition from interest to actual action.
This is the urgency you're talking about. There's that urgency you're feeling.
Yeah, there's urgency, and I would say that we recently ran a survey throughout the world, and we had 450 CFOs respond to this. And 60% of them are firmly down the track of adopting AI into their financial processes in their business. Now, so that's been like quite a remarkable take up. I think the nuance behind that is that there's quite a mix of maturity. Where are you at, right? So there's some that are just kind of toe in the water at this point. Others that are much more mature, and I would say the most mature ones have already brought, historically sort of more machine learning type approach to the way they run their businesses. So they've got some more familiarity with more of those advanced things. So yeah, it's, the last time we talked about it, or maybe the last couple of times we talked about it, you may have heard me say, yeah, there's a lot of curiosity. Well, I think we're definitely moving through the adoption curve now, for sure.
When you're in front of these chief executives or chief financial, frankly, any of the line of business leaders, how are these leaders meeting the challenges facing them, and what are the challenges? Is it data quality and access? Is it talent, culture? Is it market pressure? Is it this convergence of uncertainties around us? It seems like a big cloud of macro, micro, and there's a lot of questions that can go unanswered now. How are you helping them as a trusted advisor, as a peer CEO, so that it can, get on that adoption curve and accelerate their ability to get use out of all this incredible technology?
Ali, I think you're asking the most vital question, which is what is driving it, right? So, one of the illusions people might think of is that, a new technology like this new level of AI, right? We call it generative AI, but we kind of moved. So the AI that we're starting to experience and the advancements around agentic AI, it's not just being adopted because it's buzzy and the board's saying, hey, what are we going to do here? Let's just take a minute to talk about what's happening in the world. And I'm going to talk more generally, so everyone can relate, whether you understand the finance and accounting world and corporate finance, or whether you're just a business person or whatever. You're living in this hyperdynamic world, right? It's very difficult running a company today, not only because of the internal factors that go wrong and their best laid plans and everything else, but it's the exogenous, these external factors that make it extremely difficult to maximize your financial performance when things are changing in this hyper-dynamic way. There's, for most businesses, the most recent thing that's happened is the White House has initiated, pretty substantial trade relations changes, right? And I think the most optimistic view of that is going to be, weeks and months for a bunch of new agreements, but it could be, a little bit longer into deeper into 2025, I imagine, So you're operating in this very difficult time as a finance professional because you're being bombarded, frankly, at this high frequency level today by boards, CEOs, CFOs saying, what if this happens? What if this happens, right? So these are common sorts of issues, but it seems like every year something new comes along that nobody could have forecast and predicted, and all of a sudden you've got this new burden on the finance people. Now, I want to share two facts with you guys that I think are mind blowing, and I'll share the sources with you guys who can put it in the show notes, right?
Sure.
So the first is that there is, at this minute, there is a 3.5 million person deficit between the demand for finance and accountants and the supply.
Wow.
3.5 million deficit. Wow. Okay. The second fact is that 75% of CPAs recently, just in the last few years, recently hit retirement age. 75% of CPAs. Okay. So the problem of this deficit is unlikely to be going away, right? I can share some other notes we can put in the show notes as well, and I'll talk about it at my Planful conference coming up soon. But the number of younger folks that are going through to accounting school and getting CPAs has declined 10% in the last couple of years, right? So if you couple, sort of combine these facts together, we have somewhat of an existential talent supply problem. And these are critical functions, right? In this regulated world, we have to get this finance accounting stuff right. So this is what is primarily causing the need for what I believe is every business needs to drive a 40-50% productivity gain in financial processes now. It's not in 5 years' time, it's now, because you can't get the talent. Right? There's another stat that 93%, so statistically call it basically everyone, in this other survey said we cannot get the talent, right? So that's why artificial intelligence is so vital for this. Companies like Planful have brought a lot of automation and a lot of systemization and modernization to these processes, right? So we've been taking finance people
out of accountants. And we have no replacement for those accountants either. And we're at a point where we gotta use automation and AI to be able to augment us to get past this hurdle, let alone find enough people.
Yes, that's right. And so the agent AI is critical to the sort of more advanced automation that's required, right? So you can imagine every repeatable task in a business, right? And combination of those tasks through processes is absolutely a candidate for agentic AI to come to bear for those things, right? And ultimately what that means is you have a sort of in principle you have an infinite amount of resource available to you now, right? And you're not time bound anymore because this infinite number of agents can, in theory, right, an infinite number can be working 24/7 for your business. Okay. So the other thing is, these are processes. The other thing that's very important here is accuracy and insights, right? So how do we figure out like what is really happening at the most high fidelity level possible in our business, right? Because often it's the problems or the challenges in a business are hidden in, they call it HIPS, hidden in plain sight, right? Like it's this sort of lower level dimensionality where we need to go into that. This is very historically labor intensive. You can have hundreds of analysts in large companies spending days and days and days at the end of every period trying to find that deeper level insight. Well, the AI, the good news is the AI is making that profoundly faster and more accurate. So it's the answer is here to those problems. That's the good news.
Right. We've had CEOs like you, digital native CEOs, with companies that were built in the cloud, that were data driven, mobile and social, versus digital immigrant companies that are, not as modern. And CEOs declare moving forward, every hiring justification for a person must include why this can't be done by AI. So as a CEO of a modern digital native company, how do you approach balancing the human and AI equation that you as the CEO must maintain to not only prove to your stakeholders that you have all of the tools and processes and capabilities to meet their, AI requirements today and into the tomorrow? How do you maintain that balance? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in practice, there's going to continue to be, individual roles hired because the businesses haven't figured out yet, or created an agent that can do this for them yet. But the question compels the business. So if I look at my business, we have 600 folks in the company now. So we've tripled in size in the last 5 years or so, and I expect that over the next, say, 5-year period, we would definitely not, our business is growing very fast, but we're certainly not going to need to grow our workforce at the same rate. I don't see AI today, at least in my purview, as displacing jobs. I think what it's doing is it's creating greater productivity that enables you to do a lot more with less into the future. So, one other thing to add here is that, nearly half, I think as of yesterday, we have 245 folks that have, we use ChatGPT Enterprise, right? So, and we also use Salesforce AI tools as well. And so, note to a lot of business people out there, your vendors are bringing great tools. It doesn't have to be just your own sort of generalized AI, but these all play a key role. So nearly half of our company have adopted the generalized ChatGPT Enterprise. It is just mind-blowing what is happening. We are trying really hard to create a process so we can catalog everything that's happening across the business. And the good news for you guys, and maybe running out of time here, but I just want to share with the audience, if you're a little bit further behind on the journey, I think you'll be a little bit surprised of how enthusiastic people are to embrace these tools. They want to be AI experts, and it's just really cool seeing on another Salesforce product, Slack, that we love. It gets it's like an ad for you, Vala. But we just people sharing. We have this Planful users ChatGPT channel, and people sharing these like mind-blowing things that they're using ChatGPT for, and there's a variety of other tools out there. So super exciting. I think that it's going to have very strong economic value over time for businesses, and finance teams need to sort of plot that out and remodel it. Boards should be saying, hey, we used to grow at this level, our workforce. Yeah. We want that to be at least half over time, so you need to drive that productivity.
That's amazing.
Wow. Yeah, and we're definitely seeing this big shift, because that means you're always in a culture of continuous change. Right. And you've got to be able to move at that kind of speed. I mean, we're operating at machine scale with humans, and that's going to change the way we actually think in terms of when do we slow down, when do we adopt, when we actually do a reset. Right. So how do leaders build this culture? This is not something that's, common in a lot of companies.
I think you got to bring people along with you in steps, right? So what we did is we allowed, we sort of gave the tools out to a narrower group initially, and we said, just have at it. We wanted to do an organic experiment and see who embraced it, what creative ideas they would come up with. I mean, these days you can just talk to the AI and ask it, like, this is my job. Give me 10, tell me 10. It's becoming outrageously good. So we did that fairly organic. That was sort of phase one. Then we did measurement of that, like in qualitative and quantitative, right? And now we're at a more, I'd say, mature phase, right? Which is, we are being a little bit more programmatic about it, and we're trying to focus in on the things that we've discovered move the needle in terms of processes, and starting to build out agents to run various processes and measure that. I think it's really behooves executives to make sure that they can talk about the economic value that they're driving, and finance teams to be able to model that over time. So that's where we're at. Is you're going to take people on a journey. But the key point I would make is, don't be too prescriptive in the beginning. I would say just see what your organization, how they organically adopt it and learn from that, because every organization is going to be different, as you mentioned, culturally.
Focus on business value. That's the lesson we keep hearing from everyone, coming from you. Hey, what's going on? Last thing real quick, about 10 seconds here. What's going on May 12th to 15th in Miami?
Miami, what an amazing place to hold a user conference. So we've got customers and partners and prospects coming to discover, more of this and learn, how this AI revolution is going to transform their business. So if anyone needs a code, just come direct to me and I'll get you guys to the event.
That's awesome.
Personally.
Great speaking with you, Grant.
Hey, thanks a lot.
You guys are the best.
Grant Halloran, CEO of Planful. And of course, you can catch them June 4th to June 5th in London as well. Thanks for being on the show, man. Happy Friday. Maybe I'll drive by your house on the way back.
Okay, well, again, let's get the theme going with another exceptional CEO. Alex Yeh is CEO and founder of GMI Cloud, a digital infrastructure company specializing in simplifying AI deployments through integrated hardware software solutions. Prior to establishing GMI Cloud in 2021, Alex gained experience as a partner at a venture capital firm engaging with emerging industries. Under his leadership, GMI Cloud transitioned from operating data centers for Bitcoin computing nodes to focusing on AI cloud infrastructure aimed to staying aligned with rapid development of AI. Welcome, Alex, to DisrupTV.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, we're so excited to have you. Welcome. Let's do a quick journey conversation, an origin story. How in the world did you get to where you are? And tell us a little bit about what you're working on, because I think when people hear what you're doing, it suddenly clicks, because it doesn't work the same way it used to for everybody else. So it's definitely a new concept.
That's right. I didn't follow the traditional path. So I graduated from Hopkins with a materials engineering degree. Has nothing to do with Bitcoin mining nor cloud compute. But my high school friend ran a mining shop in Mongolia, China. And so that's kind of where I started my career as an investor. I was like, okay, I'll invest in some Bitcoin mining servers, right? Whatever. And that slowly increased. But however, China wasn't so fond of the whole Bitcoin thing. So they shut it down in one day, right? So I guess, Trump is more lenient. At least they gave us 90 days, right? So, I had 1 day to move. I booked a one-way ticket to New York. I was like, all right, let me find some data center and repurpose my servers over to US. That didn't happen. 80% of the hash rate was from China, so everyone's moving out. So I had one choice. I was just thinking, all right, why don't I just build it myself? So I was like, okay, let me build a data center. And so in 2.5 years, I built 3 data centers in Middle America. Imagine at then I was a 25-year-old Asian kid going to the great state of Arkansas and Texas and say, hey, let me buy power. Let me buy your land. I want to build data center. Right, that's kind of how I started it. And, since I'm in Bay Area, I'm surrounded by a lot of amazing founders and VCs. And about 1.5 years ago, they're like, Alex, I know you're in Bitcoin mining. You must have a lot of GPUs. We're doing something called AI training. Why don't you rent us some GPUs and we want to do some training? And that's how I pivoted into the cloud industry. So it's kind of the journey. It's absolutely a very, very exciting one.
That's amazing. A one-way trip, one guy, and shortly thereafter, you've got over 50 employees with, I believe, 5 data centers operator.
100 now. 100 plus.
You get 100.
Yes,
oh my
100
God!
plus.
We need to update your bio. My God, 100 Alex. That's stunning.
Yeah.
So tell us the importance of accessibility and why you're building and expanding so rapidly, and why it's important in the age of AI.
I mean, the customer demand is just astronomical, right? And I think we're in this pivoting moment. And so for people who are not familiar with what Gen AI or LLM is about, there's basically three things that people are building, right? One is training, fine-tuning, and inferencing, right? And training is really kind of last year or the past couple years, right? Is these Magnificent Seven companies and the Chinese LLM shops building the state-of-art LLM models, right? Every larger models. But right now, we're hitting that pivot moment where those models are really good, like good enough. Like these closed source model as well as open source model, like DeepSeek kind of showed the world that, oh, these are actually readily available. You can literally download from Hugging Face and start using.
Yeah.
And so I'm right now seeing this 2010 moment where like iPhone is just like good enough that you hear on the street, it's like college, like literally in coffee shop, you'll hear people like, oh, I want to build an app. I want to build this. I want to build that. This is that moment. I like in maybe I'm in a bubble, but in Bay Area, I literally go to Blue Bottle, right? Everyone's like, oh, I'm building this AI agent. I use this API. It took me 2 days, and I was just vibe coding and built some application. And this is that time. Like I feel the excitement, the electricity in the atmosphere building application. This is the inference moment. This is the mobile revolution. And this is the AI revolution. That's what's happening right now. So that accessibility has been solved because you don't have to do all these massive training cluster, millions and billions of dollars. But right now, all you have to do is just a product genius and polling API, right? And we provide that API. And that's what accessibility is about.
It's awesome. Are you?
You seem to be excited about this. I don't know. I'm getting a sense you're excited about it. No, I'm kidding. That's awesome.
I'm pretty excited about it. I see so many cool applications being built, you know, like from AI companionship to, I think the craziest thing is this dude built AI Jesus, you know?
Yeah, AI Jesus.
Exactly. He just uploaded a PDF of like Bible. That's all he did to an open source model. And then he charges the church like $10 per user. So it's like such a simple idea. And you just, like literally apps everywhere.
It's the Jesus AI.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous, but it works. I mean, I'm actually spending the Friday. I'm going to be over at Peter Dallenberg's, you know, the big Smash Up. So they do Smash Brothers, Gemma 3 versus Mistral 3.1 versus Llama 3.2 versus Open AI 40 Mini. So it's at the Google. It's one of the Google offices. So I'll be down there later this afternoon, and it's just crazy when you walk into these because people are just so excited about what's going on. But you know, they got here, and a lot of those founders got here by thinking differently. And that's something that you did. So what's something you believe that others didn't when you were doing this? Because that's really what sets the mark of a founder, that unique perspective, being able to frame something in a different way that you normally wouldn't have been able to frame, but now you have the opportunity to actually prove it by building it.
Yeah, thank you, Ray, for asking this question. So I'll start with like the mission of GMI, right? GMI stands for General Machine Intelligence Cloud, where I'm here to build the AGI future. And what the name with the cloud, right? So if you think of a cloud, people probably think of like AWS, GCP, these hyperscalers. But traditionally, hyperscalers, how they build things, and the AI native cloud is completely different, complete new paradigm, new different stack. So traditional hyperscalers is basically they virtualize resources, right? GPU, CPU, RAM, and then they build applications on top. But what AI native cloud and what I'm doing differently is basically penetrating the hardware and the software boundary, right? That's why you see these hyperscalers are taping out their own chips, right? So to increase that throughput, increase that the capabilities of and boundaries of LLMs. And what we're doing is exactly the same. We are integrating both hardware and software. So it's not a segregated hardware and application, but it's a combined whole. So we did a bunch of amazing engineering that separates the LLMs into each block. So what it translates to, it's 70% improvement over traditional model, where if you download those models on Hugging Face, you would get 1x performance, and we would get 1.7x at the same cost, same precision, same latency, right? So that's just on the product level. But I think the most amazing thing is what I want to build is a Shopify of AI. Literally everyone wants to build AWS. It's just building higher walls, right? They're like, company A, move your data over. Right? I don't care. You're on-prem, move it over to my cloud, right? How I'm thinking about it is different. I want to enable the founder and enable the enterprise to own their data, own their application, own their project, right? And so the Shopify idea is basically we built these hypervisor stack, we built a model serving layer stack, and each stack are licensable to their edge, right? So imagine like you're a user on cloud, right? You're building an application. You're like, hey, Amazon AWS Bedrock is pretty good. And you're like, hey, can I just have the Bedrock and move that on-prem? Obviously not. They're not going to agree with that, right? But we're like, why not? And so we can license each stack. So each stack that we built, a product size, they're standardized. And you can use API to pull each services to your local edge. So you don't have to migrate anything, right? A lot of our customers are in GCP and AWS and on-prem. And we just have this software that manages all three environments. So that's why I mentioned that on the broader level is I want to build a Shopify AI where the user actually have that control, right? And on a granular level is we penetrate the hardware and the software so that everything just runs much more efficient than our competitors.
Alex, you referenced inference as one of the 3 use cases. Can you, in simple terms, explain to our audience what you mean by inference?
Yeah, so inference is, okay, so training is basically, okay, so LLM is essentially like a kid, right? Like a child, right? And training is basically going to school and you're teaching the kid all the necessary information. Inference is, okay, now you have to face the real world, right? Respond to actual things, right? To give a response. That's basically what inference is about, right? So you train this LLM and you're like, hey, what is the weather well, weather is probably too easy. It's like compare this stock ticker to their comparisons charts, right? And that action and it started reasoning, right? It's like started thinking, pulling data from all over the world, and it's like give you an answer. That action is called inferencing. Yeah.
Wow. We are actually in this crazy world, right? I mean, you think how fast things are being built. You're seeing how people are actually able to abstract at a level we haven't seen before. I want to talk to you about really about that shift, right? When we think about why, people believe like, the next great AI product, is it here? Is it already there? Is there something holding people back? What's happening there?
Yeah, look, I think we have all the building blocks right now, literally. Especially, and this just happened, this is not long ago. This is just about 2 months ago, right? DeepSeek came out about in February. Imagine like traditionally, imagine electricity is patented, is protected. And so it's just so expensive, right? You're paying like $100 per kilowatts, right? And you're like, I can't build any applications on that. I can't build a factory because it's be too expensive. And now DeepSeek comes in and they're like, hey, 10 cents, right? And it's like, oh, wow, it's so much cheaper. It's like 10x cheaper so that like it just the application potential just 10x, 100x, 1000x. And that is what's happening right now. And so right now, you don't need to be an ML expert, right? You don't need to know how to train weights and figure, which all you have to think about is like, I have an idea of what application I should build. And then go on GMI, or it doesn't matter, other platforms and pull API and then build that application. You can do text-to-text, text-to-voice, or voice-to-voice, video-to-video, video-to image, all kinds of applications that you can just mix and match and build. So right now, it's just like all the Lego pieces are readily available and just built, right? And there are 3 sectors that are absolutely booming, right? And this is like literally anyone can build, right? One is the Copilot, right? So it's like all sorts of Copilot, right? So it's text-based, NLP-based, like natural language, right? Summary tools, summary hardwares, and obviously you probably heard of Cursor and Windsurf. They're growing tremendously to $100+ million in 10 months in a short amount of time, right? So that's one category that you can absolutely build now. Second is the AI companionship, right? So if you watch, have you seen the movie Her, right? That's basically like AI companionship. It can be consultative, right? Just give you a personal anecdote. Like whenever my girlfriend fights with me, she chats that thing that she's gonna say to me to GPT and screenshot to me. It's like, this is what I want to say, right? And so imagine you have like a
It's awesome.
The board of directors are going to do that next. When you have your CEO board meetings, they're going to say, "This is what we want to ask you."
Yeah. So and the next level of this companionship is like, you don't have to go to interact through an app. This AI can interact through WhatsApp, through Facebook, through the messenger platform that you're using. So that second application is really cool, right? And this person can also be an agent. That means he can handle your bank account, help you pay your utility bills, pay your rent. That's insane. Like, this is the person, right? And the third is the image and video gen for content creator, for Hollywood, for advertisements, right? VFX shop is very expensive. I have my friend who's a content producer. She's a producer for Netflix Taiwan, and she's saying that like a 1 minute clip costs $3,000, right? And then we have a client that can do that for under 9 minutes for 20 cents.
That's
it's not even a comparison.
Alex, we need a companion agent that helps us avoid conflicts with our significant other.
Yes.
My question to you: how old is the company? 2 years, GMI Cloud?
We've been around for 3.5 years, but really the pivot to cloud was just 1.5 years.
1.5. So 1.5 year pivot to cloud, and now you have 100 data centers. Take us to what the next 2 to 3 years is going to look like.
And Vala, they raised 82 million, if I remember, like a Series A. That was pretty crazy. So.
That's stunning. So, I mean, how do you decide when and how much to invest? And I guess you just mentioned the 3 areas that are driving your use cases in terms of needing more compute. But give us a sense of how big GMI is going to be, and what are the thoughts that keep you awake at night and get you excited to jump out of bed every day?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hardware software game. It requires a lot of capex as well as a really amazing ML talents to help us fine tune the models so that our potential customers doesn't have to do that. We're all in on fine tuning and inferencing, right? So inferencing again, like is the I would say the reasoning part, right? Where you're building applications and you're getting real world feedback. And fine tuning is like, okay, we have a lot of these inferencing data, right? And fine tuning is like, we're not wiping out your entire knowledge base, but we're just updating you, right? So patch update is what fine tuning is about. So we're building these 2 tools really, really, really well that our customers doesn't have to do all these tasks, right? So imagine like a customer journey, right? They have some sort of big ideas they want to build, right? But once they build the application, if they don't have the right server to match their growth, that would be pretty bad, right? If you try like probably GPT when you're creating Ghibli like images, I'm sure probably do that. There's a lot of server errors, like slowness, things like that. So
all the time. So
yeah, so these are server problems, right? So we just tailor that growth for the customer, so I don't have to think about that. And same thing with fine tuning. It's like customers can probably build their own special models together, right? But they're not optimized because they probably download from Hugging Face. And so they can bring in their model, and when we spit it back out, it's 70%, 80% better.
It's so
right.
Cool.
So this automated fine tuning for customer, so they don't have to use our models, right? That's great if they use it, but they don't have to. They can bring their model. If they host on our server, it just have a X-fold of output. So that's how I see the next 2 years of growth, and follow our customers where our customers should be. That's why we have 5 DCs across the world, right? This is kind of like
built in Colorado,
business.
right? You just built in Colorado, right? So.
Yeah, we just expanded, and we're going to Japan as well with the latest B200s, and so it's gonna be really amazing.
I was sitting next to the guy who just got delivery of the first Blackwells this week. They just showed up in his at his facility, It's a
That's
University of
Alex's
Florida.
next call. That's his next call.
University of Florida CIO was telling me
Oh.
that Chris Malachowski basically was they got the first set of Blackwells at University of Florida. So just so you know, so if you're in the middle,
That's crazy.
should you happen to call some person at NVIDIA, let them know that you want to know who yours is. So
Absolutely.
Great talking to you, Alex.
Alex, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Alex Yeh, CEO and founder of GMI Cloud, and of course a proud Hopkins grad. So nice to see you there. We'll catch up in the Bay Area.
Look at you inviting other
I get the alumni on once in a while. We randomly met at CES. I crashed the dinner that he was kind enough to invite me, and then next thing we're talking, I was like,
That's
"This
awesome.
is really cool." So
this is our cleanup hitter spot for those of you familiar with baseball analogies, where we have two exceptional, congratulations, two authors. Their new book will come out next Tuesday. Bob Goodson, employee number 1 at Yelp, CEO of Quid and co-author of Like, the button that changed the world, and his co-author Martin Reeves, chairman of the BCG Henderson Institute and co-author of Like. Ray, I believe over 7 billion times a day, people tap that like button. Really changed the world. Bob is president, co-founder, and founder of Quid, a Silicon Valley-based company whose AI models are used by 1/3 of the Fortune 50 companies. Before starting Quid, Bob was the first employee at Yelp, where he played a role in the genesis of the like button and observed firsthand the rise of the social media industry. Bob served a 2-year term on World Economic Forum's Global Future Council for AI and Robotics. Welcome, Bob. And
Hey, guys.
You have Martin Reeves, chairman of the BCG Henderson Institute, BCG's think tank, dedicated to exploring and developing valuable new insights from business, technology, economics, and science by embracing the powerful technology of ideas. Martin's also a member of the BCG Henderson Institute Innovation Sounding Board, which is dedicated to supporting, inspiring, and guiding upstream innovation at BCG. Welcome, Bob and Martin, to DisrupTV.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, guys.
Congrats on the new book. That's awesome.
Okay, so Vala and I were taking bets in the back. We wanted to know who actually invented the like button. We have people like, some former president of Salesforce that said he invented it. We have other people at other companies that said they invented it. Like, let's clear the air. Who invented the like button?
Martin, you go ahead.
Well, in a sense, our human ancestors, right? We have this opposable thumb. And we know that babies are obsessed by hands and faces, and so are adults. And we have, cave paintings of hands and this ancient gesture of the thumbs up. And but of course, you're talking about the digital version of that.
Of course.
We've spent 3 years delving into this, and it's a fascinating story. And but actually, it's very hard to say because maybe it's Paul Newman at TiVo, remember the little buttons, the vote up, vote down buttons on the TiVo control, 1998. Maybe it's James Hong at Hot or Not, the voting bar in that site that voted appearances of people up and down. Maybe it's Joshua Schachter at Delicious that enabled you to say which links you liked from other people and to rank them. Or maybe it's actually my friend Bob Goodson who's sitting here right now, because Bob is a hoarder. And one of our first conversations when we were getting to know each other, I was just trying to make conversation. He said, I'm a hoarder and I'm moving to the UK. And I said, well, you must be discovering interesting things in your boxes. And he said, yeah. And he pulled out something. It was a sketch of the like that was dated May 2005. And my first reaction was, Bob, you saying you invented the like button? And he said, well, no, of course not. Well, maybe. And thus ensued a 3-year conversation. And we still don't know the answer. But the point is that actually, in spite of the hero stories, innovation is very social. A lot of people working on the same things at the same time, a lot of forgotten heroes. And there's a whole community working on a set of common problems.
And what does it reveal, this creation of an adoption of the like button? What does it reveal about innovation? Is great innovation usually come from socializing ideas, and is the momentum come from community? What can we learn from this?
I think we can learn how things really work. So I write business books for a living. Is one of the things I do, and typically you start with a framework and you have some matrices and bullet points, and you're extremely clear about, do these 3 things, not these other 10 things. And we do that with innovation, right? We say, it was Steve Jobs on Tuesday afternoon in such and such a date, and there was a stroke of inspiration and the iPhone was invented. Well, I challenge you to name an invention that wasn't a messy, serendipitous process where you were trying to do one thing, something else happened. The first person to do it is forgotten. Somebody else made all of the money. There was a huge delay before impact occurred. So in a way, the slogan that emerged as we were writing the book was, embracing the mess, and embracing how innovation, this social, serendipitous, messy process, actually works. And in a world where, your previous speakers were talking about AI, and there's this sort of culture of algorithmic precision and answers to any question. Well, we'd say innovation is not really like that, and that's important because, of course, there's a lot of resources going to the innovation of the next wave of applications and so on. So my guess is that chaos, serendipity, accident, anomaly, twists and turns will play a huge role in how AI actually plays out. But Bob, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, exactly. Like it was as Martin said, 3 years, we interviewed more than 100 people. And in the process, we interviewed the founders of YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter and many more. And what we found is that there are so many people that made these important contributions to the evolution of what is now the most used interface element. It is the thing that's used most, 7 billion times a day. This thing is used. And each person we interviewed who made important contributions all said the same thing. Every one of them said, I was just trying to solve that day's design problem. And that's really how innovation happens and how things really get developed. So one of the things we've done with this book, by kind of obsessively chronicling the development of a user interface element, is there are some lessons in there, we think, about how innovation really happens and how Silicon Valley actually operates, as opposed to the cartoon version of innovation that we're often given, as Martin described there.
This is fascinating. What you are describing is the process of this of how the Valley works, right? Where the collaboration and competition and monetization and then the lawsuits and then the controversy and the drama all come together. I mean, movie script writers are going to have so much fun with this formula for the next 20 years. I mean, we're in the middle of the agentic AI revolution. We're going to be seeing people like with the same set of stories. This is brilliant. I mean, as you guys both would say, I mean, it's massively brilliant. But let's get to the mechanism here of what happens when you hit that like button. Does serotonin pop? Do I walk out with a withdrawal somewhere? Do I need more? Like, what's the hit behind the like button?
It's actually a really interesting story, and maybe Bob feels the same way. But I in a sense, technically we're the authors, but I feel like we were the privileged witnesses of an onion unpeeling exercise where the story just revealed itself to us, and you get to the layer of, well, why do we like liking? What's the physiological basis for that? Why do we not need a user manual for the like button? Why did it sort of catch on like wildfire? And it's the fact that it was all there. The potential is all there in our evolution. So we have this brain chemistry. There's something in our limbic system, a little thing called the nucleus accumbens, and it releases dopamine which is the nature's natural drug that reinforces evolutionarily useful behaviors. So that happens when we like somebody in real life. It happens when we are liked in real life, and exactly the same chemistry operates when we digitally like or we are digitally liked. It's also, not surprisingly, therefore, the mechanism that creates sexual excitement and exploration, where there's obviously an important drive, and it can be hijacked. It can be hijacked by cocaine, for instance. Addictive drugs also cause this trigger, this pleasure mechanism. But if you go to an even deeper level, why does it do that? And we had some fascinating conversations with some evolutionary biologists about what Professor Christakis at Yale calls the social suite. So he would say that our human superpower is actually social learning, the ability to learn not just by jumping off the cliff and seeing whether it's a good idea, but observing others and even hearing the stories of others. And there's a whole suite of behaviors that this brain chemistry reinforces. For instance, homophily. We like to hang out with people like us. Remember, and I'm using the word like there. That's part of why this is a powerful mechanism. We hang out with people like us because people like us learn things that we probably want to learn. And another one is a preference for mild hierarchy. So who do we like to learn from? Not any schmuck, but the people that other people appear to be learning from, the popular people. And so that's so all of that is in the background in this ancient gesture. And in a sense, that's the fruit that was plucked off the tree when the designers in the early stages of Web 2.0 said, look, we want to reinforce the submission of user-generated content, and we want to gather attention and make our apps sticky. And they reached for this gesture. So we think it's a beautiful multi-layered story that was really fascinating to witness unfolding.
It's just fascinating. I'm just trying to imagine Bob, employee number one, coming up with the use of the like, not maybe recognizing at the time, or maybe you did it. You're going to create this incredible like economy and influencer marketing, and it's going to be the button that's going to change the world. I had somebody reach out to me that I hadn't talked to in a long time, and it was because I had put something on X, and he had commented, and he said, my comment to your X post is the most likes I've had on anything I've said ever on the platform. And then I looked at it, not realizing the thing I keep saying tweeted, posted, had like over 16 million likes and impressions. So it starts together just because of the like button. Talk to us about influencer marketing. How businesses just change the way they bring awareness and build communities using this gesture, this capability. It must be stunning to you, Bob, that you were at the heart of it, at the beginning of it.
It's definitely fun. It's been fun to look back and look at how these things flow. As we said earlier, we were at Yelp, we were just solving that day's design problem, and it really just spent the afternoon on it. But the observation you make there about the influence on marketing, one of the things that Martin and I uncovered is that when you look at the rise of the customer experience industry, it's interesting to think about how this feature influenced it, which we haven't found really discussed anywhere else. But when you look at the timing of the rise of the customer experience industry, and you look at the timing of this feature development, one of the things that seems to have happened is that on consumer sites, we were making it easier and easier to engage and to give feedback and to react, right, with these instant reaction buttons. And as they became more popular, it brought down the barrier for people to rate businesses or respond to experiences, which now we kind of go hand in hand, right? We're used to these. It's too much these days. You go for a coffee and you get an email afterwards asking you how the coffee was, right? And then a follow-up a week later. You can't buy a coffee now without getting several emails.
Well, how's the email for the coffee experience?
So yeah, we get these emails, and we're asked to sort of rate the experience, but we think that one of the things it did is just brought that barrier down and resulted in the proliferation of those kinds of interactions. Businesses and brands found it easier to get feedback, which, by the way, has massively improved the customer experience in every industry, however you want to measure it. The quality of our experiences as customers is massively up over a 20-year period, thanks to the customer experience.
Is it fair to say gamifying the process where you're motivated and you want to continuously improve so you can get more likes?
Well, there's great great collective genius in the like button, because if you think about it, it's taking something you don't need any instruction on. It's taking a gesture. Yeah. It is doing a number of jobs. It's saying, I have a preference for this. I like this. It's saying, I like you. It's saying, I am like you. And that's actually an incredible amount of information compressed into one very low-cost gesture. And that solves the existential limitation of the advertising industry. The old joke in advertising was, half my advertising is useless. I just don't know which half. And if you watch Mad Men and the old advertising model, essentially you paid vast amounts of money, and the suits had to trust somebody with long hair to come up with something creative and believe their assertion that this would sell more cars or whatever. And you never really knew. I mean, the closest you came to knowing was a set-top box from Nielsen that said whether the TV was on channel 13. It doesn't say that anyone was watching it, and it doesn't say whether they loved it or they hated it. And then you get to, and it said it for vast segments, right? It said it for segments of X million people.
Right.
If you think about it now, it's segmented by occasion, by individual, with preference revealed, changing every second at no cost, which is not just the foundation of the monetization model for social media, but it's the foundation for all digital feedback. It's essentially the completion of a feedback loop that never really existed in traditional businesses. And so not surprising, 7 billion times a day. And you could sort of think of different ways about how much value to attribute to that. But I think billions of dollars basically, and enables us to improve our businesses, transact differently, communicate differently, capture people's attention. It really changed business in quite a fundamental way. This tiny gesture.
Bob, I want to ask you this. I've been dying to ask this, and Martin, some historical perspective as well along this. Why not a thumbs down? What happened there? And then culturally in the Middle East, when you do this, it means up yours. So like, how do you, was the angle different? Did you have to do something different there? It's something I've always wanted to ask, since I've got you as an expert here. So.
Yeah, well, I'll start the answer, and then maybe Martin and I will say a little something each. But the place I wanted to start is in the gladiatorial arenas of ancient Rome, where an architectural innovation of the amphitheater had allowed people to see each other and see each other's faces, which you think about, if you just imagine being at a festival or something, right? You're like, crowds of people on the same level are going to see the back of each other's heads, unless you're the speaker, in which case you might be elevated and see everyone. But then you've just got one-to-many communication. But what amphitheaters did is it allowed for people to see each other. And in that context, in the ancient Roman gladiatorial arenas, you had an event where there was a voting that took place, right? Should the gladiator survive, and or should they be killed? And so there was this. It opened up the possibility for real-time voting, and the thumb became a widespread gesture and an effective gesture when you look at that many people. And so it is, and Martin will say more about kind of the up and down gesture and whether it was sideways and so on, and where it went from there. But it is pretty fascinating that a very similar gesture was used in the digital world, and no one ever thought of that. No one ever planned that. It's not like someone sat back and said, let's use something from no, it just evolved. It just became natural in the West to use this gesture. But maybe Martin, you can add more about the controversy.
I mean, one of the fascinating things that you referred to, Ray, is what does the like gesture mean? Well, one of the things you look at, one of the things you find that was also fascinating, if you look at the history of languages, whenever there's progress in the technology of communication itself evolves. They co-evolve. So you've got the amphitheater example, and usually innovations in communication extend the reach of the communication. So the telegraph, the printed press, the Roman amphitheater, and every time you increase the reach of communication, you lose a little bit of richness. You lose the the close-up facial expressions and the nuances and the voice tone. So you have to put a little bit of it back somehow. And so I think about the like gesture as putting back a little bit of emotion into the incredibly efficient but somewhat antiseptic digital communications that we have. Now, when we put back the symbol, what are we adding? Well, it depends at what point in history, because this opposable thumb display that we have variously meant kill him, save him. It meant the rather crude sort of connotation of fornicate with him or something like this in certain parts of the world. And the thumbs up was actually greatly popularized and introduced into American culture by a painting that displayed the idea that this meant save the gladiator, and this meant kill the gladiator. But actually, it was a fiction. It was a deliberate exaggeration. The Roman gestures were probably that, the sheathed thumb for save, and probably the unsheathed sword pointing at the gladiator for kill him. But nevertheless, language is, as Wittgenstein said, it's a game, and the game is whatever the game is believed to be. So this became this fiction, this deliberate distortion in the painting in about 1880, actually became the reality. And guess what the Italians, by the way, the Romans call this gesture, the thumbs up gesture, they call it the American gesture. Why? Because in Southern Europe, there's still this sort of crude meaning. Now, the American meaning, the positive, everything's okay, I'm okay, you're okay meaning, has come to dominate. But it hasn't always been that way. And there are still some parts of the world where it means something different. But that's the nature of language. It means whatever we take it to mean.
Tell us what it means. You don't know it's different.
And we repurpose the same symbols and gestures again and again. So it's a really fascinating story.
I think we can thank Henry Winkler and the Fawns for popularizing.
And the Terminator and a whole bunch of other cultural.
That's right. Arthur Fonzarelli.
We do have the Fonz.
Congratulations on your.
We do have the Fonz in the book.
Yeah, absolutely.
We couldn't
not have the Fonz.
That's my earliest memory of the white T-shirt, leather jacket, and
me too. We had to have him in there.
That's awesome. Congratulations on your book. Sure to be a bestseller. I'm gonna like it for sure. And thank you for joining us.
Bob Goodson, employee #1 at Yelp, CEO of Quid, and co-author of Like, the Button That Changed the World, along with Martin Reeves, chairman of the BCG Henderson Institute. You should check that place out. And of course, co-author of Like. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for starting your preview of the book journey here. And of course, check it out on Amazon. I've got my copy already, and definitely.
So do I. I have mine as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I wish I had it with me. I'm at a different house.
I had it with me. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's a vibrant green color, bold book. Like it stands out.
It is like this.
Yeah, exactly. It stands out. Yeah. All right, Ray, and we're 3 episodes away from episode 400. Next week, episode 398, we have Sage Davidovic, co-founder, president of Spark Beyond, pioneer of AI-powered, always optimized platform. We have Paula Davis, author of Lead Well, 5 mindsets to engage, retain, and inspire your team. And we have Zach Marcorio, author of The Power of Mattering, how leaders can create a culture of significance. So your closing remarks, knowing if it's Friday, it's Disrupt TV.
Real quick. Grant basically talked about how the CFO office is playing a huge role. Agentic AI is here. It's real. People are looking at efficiencies. Alex showed us exactly what it's like to build apps in the age of AI when you're optimized for it, coming from a crypto background to what he's doing today. I mean, they've raised $82 million in funding to do this. And then we have a look back in terms of understanding the like button, but it's really not about the like button. It's really about all the processes that get to innovation and how we actually think about how you go from, being able to create something, the beginning and the adoption of something, all the way to, the lore behind it. And that's pretty awesome. You got to get the book. So there you go. Ray GPT for now. That
is Copilot Ray at its best. Thank you for the summary. We look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye. See you in the green room.